Welcome back to the Shipyard. Today, top 10 list, top 10 Vulcan cards, with a little help from my good friend Steve Stott, the renowned Vulcan player. If you spend any time in the Star Trek Attack Wing community on Facebook, he is the gentleman who is always saying Vulcans, Vulcans, Vulcans. So without further ado, number 10. Okay, number 10 is a kind of fun, rather useful card. This is the Aft Particle Beam. This is specifically the 1-point card, but I don't want to spend time in Utopia trying to get it to be just the 1-point version. It's an attack, disable. You can only fire it from your rear firing arc, as you would figure. It's an aft weapon. You get 3 dice, range 1 to 3, but it's 1 point. It's 1 point to get that shot when you just need a little more oomph or a little more coverage. If you want to spend 2 more points to get an extra die, okay, fine, go ahead. I really hope we get a time token version of this whenever we get a Vulcan faction pack. But as it is, this is a pretty good card and something that I think is worth pointing out. All right. Number 9. Okay, now my number 9 card here is one of these crew that I kind of hemmed and hawed about. I couldn't quite make up my mind if I even wanted this in my list because, well, it's controversial. Yeah, that's right. Koss. Now, Koss is a 2-point Vulcan crew, unique. While Koss is on your ship, none of your other upgrades can be affected by your opponents. Now, the errata on Koss is that you discard this card after it protects another upgrade card. Okay, that's a necessary errata. The trick to Koss is that if you're in an environment where not a lot of what we call ganking happens, not a lot of disruption happens, then Koss is basically worthless. But if you are in that environment where Koss sees play, or where cards that mess with your build, where smugglers, where a bunch of these disruption cards that I won't start naming off the top of my head see play, then Koss really does pull weight as a Vulcan card. So at least think about it. Okay. Number 8. Number 8 is, well, a captain. And I'm kind of doing this because, it lets you guys do a little guessing game. A captain that feels most like a Federation captain. And that should be all the hint that you need to figure this out. Yeah, that's right. It's SOLOQ. Now, SOLOQ is you can do a free evade or scan action. However, if you do, you take an Aux Power token. Now, skill 6, 4 points. That's a little pricey, but you're getting bonus actions. Vulcans have a lot of things that mess with scan tokens, enhance scan tokens. They also have things that mitigate Aux Power. We'll talk about at least one of those later on the list. So I don't hate SOLOQ. I mean, if I did, he wouldn't be on the list. But I think SOLOQ is a worthwhile card, a worthwhile captain, especially if you're playing pure Vulcans. Yeah, is he the best? No, there's a better captain on this list, at least one. So take it with a grain of salt. But I like what he brings to the table. Okay, number 7. As Steve and I were we're talking, as he kind of, well, I'll put it to you this way. He said this should be renamed the Vulcan Hello. And I won't spoil anything from Discovery, but it's very fitting. And I think that could we do this with what we know now, this would be named the Vulcan Hello. It's Vatosh Couture. And basically it is discard this card, discard more stuff, upgrades shields, and get more attack dice. It is meet your enemy with force. And this card made very little sense thematically from a Vulcan perspective until Discovery came out and we heard Sarek talk to Burnham about how the Vulcans met the Klingons. Now, I'm not going to argue the legitimacy of Discovery, but Vatosh Couture is at least a much more thematic card now with that bit of understanding. And I like it. I liked this card when it first came out. It's very useful in the blind booster format. But it lost a little something in bigger play. It's also not the best Vulcan Elite talent. I know, spoilers. But yeah, also I think I'm giving you my entire list when I do that. Anywho, yeah. So, without further ado, let's swap here to number 6. Number 6 is Vanek. Now, Vanek is a really good captain. Vanek came out before Vulcans were a subfaction of Federation. And Vanek is, he's a tech discounter. And he fits so well with this new environment where, how should I put it? Where you can bring in more tech and just get them all discounted. Now, it's hard to get a whole bunch of tech slots. But at the very least, Vanek can pay for himself with 2 tech. That's all you need. You put on, whatever the Fed tech is that gives you an extra durability, an extra shield. Federation, I just want tech. Or maybe it's a question mark. I know it costs 2 points. Systems upgrade. Is a question mark. Okay, fine. That's not as useful. I mean, I guess you could put on immersion shielding, but that doesn't give you the tech upgrade. All right. But yeah, Vanek's still useful. Vanek is still a card that can see play, and can be a piece of the puzzle to getting your fleet to work the right way. Is he the entire piece? No. But I think he's at least part of the piece. Okay. Number 5. Number 5 is, one of the aforementioned techs that I actually really do like. And that tech is Power Grid. Now, Power Grid is very simple tech. Whenever you are supposed to place an Ox Power token beside your ship, you may disable this card instead. And you go, well, David, isn't that now only at the start of a phase because it's nebulous timing. No, it is explicit timing. Whenever you are supposed to place an Ox Power token beside your ship, it's a reaction card. And it's an optional reaction card because you're paying a cost. So it doesn't fall into that category. This lets you do it when you put an Ox Power token beside your ship. Go ahead, argue with me. You're wrong. That interpretation is correct. Until I hear otherwise officially, that interpretation is correct. And so Power Grid is a very good card. And it lets you do more with your builds. With the way you fly, you can make red maneuvers. You can pull a red when you have, well, not when you have an Ox. Actually, yes. No, not when you have an Ox. But you can pull a red, and instead of putting the Ox down, you can still get an action. Those types of things. You can do some crazy good things with this card. So at least consider it. And that takes us to number 4. Number 4 is, well, my favorite captain. My favorite Vulcan captain. Not my favorite captain. But this is a captain that I honestly don't think is getting enough play. And I'm not sure why. Maybe it's that the skill's too low. Maybe it's that the ability just isn't in favor right now because it's an action. But that's Sopek. Sopek, first off, skill 6, 4 points, but a little pricey. I'd rather see him at 3, but whatever. You get a crew slot. Okay, that's a plus. Action. Choose one of your crew upgrades that was discarded from your ship. Redeploy that crew upgrade to your ship and place an Ox Power token beside your ship. So you get crew back. There's a lot of crew that discards and you go, oh, I only get them once. Now you can get them again. And again. And again. I'll do a list on like one-shot crew, and you'll see how useful Sopek can be. Like I said, I don't understand why Sopek isn't played. I don't see anyone building around Sopek, and I don't understand it. I mean, I'm part of that problem. I haven't built around Sopek. But I remember when he came out, we all kind of went, ooh, this will be really good. And it kind of was, and then it kind of wasn't. Like, nobody played him after a bit. And I'm kind of going, what happened? So, I guess this is my way of saying, bring him back. Please, bring him back. All right, number 3. Is actually the only Vulcan ship to make my list. I know. I don't think a whole lot of a lot of the named Vulcan ships. That's me. I don't play them. I really don't play them. I'm sorry. They're like Excelsiors. I mean, they're 180s. They're good. Don't get me wrong. I don't play a lot of era games. I want to like them. I do. I want to, but they're just not my thing. So yeah, the Talc here. You can read stats. But it's this named ability. Each time you defend, during the modified defense dice step, you may add one evade result to your roll. If you do so, place an Ox Power token beside your ship. It's not a whole lot, but it's an ability that makes this ship harder to kill. You would be amazed at how much just a consistent extra defense die can make. Not a defense die, but it's an extra evade. And it really does make a ship with 9 durability really difficult to kill. So, yeah, I mean, there's other ships. The Dakir is interesting. There are other good ships out there. But the Talc here is my favorite. All right. That brings us to number 2. And this is a card that I was never quite sure how I would feel about it. But as I put my list together, it just kept moving up the ranking. And I know I'm going to catch a little slack from this because it's a promo card. But yeah, it's Caliph. Caliph? I don't know. Tomato. Yeah, 1 point. Action. Disable this card. Target an opposing ship. Select a crew on this ship. The controller of the target ship selects a crew on that ship. Okay? Each player rolls 5 attack dice. Whichever player rolls fewer crits and or hits must discard the crew they selected. It's a roll off to the death. But it's 1 point. It's 1 point. And it's annoying. And you can lose good crew when somebody does this to you because that's all you have on your ship. And they can stack their ship with meaningless crew that are just meant to be sacrifices to Caliph. And it works. Or they can roll poorly and nothing happens to you. But even then, the risk of it, this is like Gol Madred. This is, you just don't want your opponent to play this card. And with 1 point, it's a really easy add-on. And again, I don't understand why more people don't play this. Because it's annoying as all get out. It is so annoying to face. And that's why I love it. Okay, number 1. There is obviously a big hole that hasn't been talked about. And in talking with Steve, this card may not be the best in pure Vulcan play. But in terms of mixed play, I think that this is the number 1 card that players reach to when it comes to the Vulcan faction. Although Caliph might be a little more in vogue right now. Regardless, I think this card is the most potent and dependable of those cards, and that is diplomacy. Yes, it's an action. Yes, it's a discard. Yes, it's 5 points. But you target an enemy ship within range, 1 to 3. You discard all tokens from beside your ship, except Ox Power. And the target ship. So that target lock that they had and those scans and battle stations, yeah, they're gone. Those permanent effect tokens, those are also gone. Yeah. WizKids, those permanent effect tokens that existed that you put out for like 2 sets, you can bring those back any time. And then both your ship and the target ship cannot attack or be attacked this round. How good is that in the middle of a mission when you're outgunned? Kobayashi Maru much? How good is that when you're the last ship and you're facing 3 ships and you say, oh, well, I can't shoot, but none of your ships can shoot me. Okay, you just bought yourself 1 more round. yeah, you might still lose, but you also aren't going to get wiped off the board yet, and maybe you will be in a better firing position. Diplomacy is tricky to use. Don't get me wrong, it is very tricky to use. But let's say you had every enemy ship had a target lock on you. Now those are gone. And you're starting fresh. It helps. Diplomacy is a giant help. So yeah, I know that I can't do a short top 10. I know that I keep talking about things. But there are some really good Vulcan cards. And if you don't look at Vulcans as playable because they're Vulcans, you're doing it wrong. The Vulcans have some very good cards. They don't have a huge depth of cards, at least not yet. But there are good cards out there for the Vulcan faction. So take a look at stuff. There are, like I said, there's good stuff. There are good cards out there. They have good upgrades. They have some good ships. They have interesting captains, intriguing captains, playable captains. And they have some captains that didn't make my list that I at least considered. But yeah, at least take a look at this. So yeah, until next time, we'll see you around the shipyard. Take care, guys.